Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Annamaria, the pharmacist with the suitcase, your best travel inspirational content creator that shows you the beauties of the world and suggests you how to safely pack and live also if alone. In this episode I'm bringing you to visit the National Museum of Art situated in l'Auberge d'Italie of Valletta. MUŻA is the new National Community Art Museum in Malta, opened in 2018. It forms part of Heritage Malta, the national agency for museums, conservation practice and cultural heritage. The chosen name is an acronym of the translation from Maltese to English of National Museum of Art. MUΖA is also the Maltese word for inspiration, besides being a clear reference to the muses that were the mythological figures from classical antiquity, inspiring creativity. The building that welcomes us is the so-called Auberge d'Italie, and while reaching it, I would love to tell you some of its milestones. 28 April 1576. The Long of Italy acquires the current site of the Auberge d'Italie. The previous auberge is handed over to Grand Master Lacassier and becomes part of the site of the original Grand Master's palace. Construction works of the first phase are concluded by 1580, with a facade leading on to today's Piazza de Valletta. 25th June 1593. Construction of the original main facade on Merchant Street underway. 1631. The Auberge d'Italie is the seat of the first opera ever performed in Malta. Opera continues to be staged at the Auberge, mostly for carnival festivities. 10 September 1669. Extensive renovation works concluded, including works on the main facade of the Auberge. Most likely, these were personally funded by Grand Master Gregorio Carafa. The interventions of the main facade have been attributed to architect Federico Blondel. 13th July 1669. The Order's resident architect Giuseppe Bonnici certified the auberge as having extensive structural problems. It had been continuously subject to urgent repairs. The building was scheduled for demolition to be rebuilt to new plans. 5 August 1785. The proposed demolition and rebuilding of the auberge is definitely shelved. This is blocked by the Long following a failed call for support from the different commanderies within its ranks. 11th June 1798. The French Republican fleet sails into Grand Harbour and captures Malta. The auberge becomes a governmental building at the service of the military, as administrative quarters as required from time to time. 18 June 1838. The Great Hall of the Auberge is earmarked for refitting as a Protestant chapel. Plans are not implemented. In the following years, the upper floors of the Auberge d'Italie become the studio and residence of the artist Giuseppe Hisler. 13th June 1850. The notarial archives are relocated to the top floor of the Auberge d'Italie. In the course of necessary refurbishment works, the main staircase, or Scala Grande, is completely demolished. 21st February 1920. First proposal to set up a museum at the Auberge d'Italie. Dr. Enrico Mizzi officially proposed in Parliament that the collection of paintings being gathered by Vincenzo Bonello is formally set up as a museum in the Auberge d'Italie. 1922. The auberge became the seat of the Valletta Museum. This was a museum of the history of Malta, featuring archaeological, artistic, numismatic, and natural history collections. It also included a conservation laboratory for works of art. Its first director was the renovated archaeologist Sir Themistocles Zammit, who also currently ran the museum's department. It was officially inaugurated on the 19th November 1925. 7th April 1942. The auberge suffers 2 direct hits during the Second World War. The notarial archives, then still on site, and the natural history collections located in the basement suffer extensive damages. 1954, the Valletta Museum collections are removed from the auberge and the law courts moved in temporarily due to the damaged state of the Auberge d'Auvergne, which previously hosted the courts after the war. Halls and rooms, purposely built for the fine arts section, became a criminal tribunal. 1967. Official plans are made for the Auberge d'Italie to once again become the National Museum. Works commence and some items are transferred. However, the decision is reversed in 1971, when Admiralty House is earmarked to host the Fine Arts Collection. 4th July 1973, Auberge d'Italie becomes the seat of the Post and Communications Department. The ground floor also functions as a post office. 18th March 2002, the Auberge becomes the seat of the Ministry of Tourism, and later also the Malta Tourism Authority. 2018, the Auberge becomes once again a museum, the seat of MUΖA. The visit of this museum can be made following 4 different storylines: the one of the artist, the one of the British Empire, the one of Europe, and the one of the Mediterranean. The artist storyline represents the achievements and struggles of Maltese and foreign artists from the late 19th century up till today. Works by Italian artists represent the art scene encountered by the Maltese artists studying in Rome. Works by local artists of the period show the influence of the Italian aesthetic. This culminates in the Maltese sculptor Antonio Sciortino, who established himself successfully in Rome. The struggle of the Maltese modern artists for self-expression is represented by contrasting works of the same artist in both traditional and experimental styles. The Maltese artist reached abstraction through the push provided by the British artist Victor Passmore. Works exploring abstract concepts by local artists complete the narrative. The artists present the layered connections of Malta's Mediterranean identity, its European connections, and the context of the British Empire within which Malta's modern art was born. These links provide a connection with MUΖA's 3 other narratives. In 1800, Malta became part of the British Empire. Malta's role within such a world system as that of the British Empire found itself caught between its Mediterranean identity and its then novel significance with a political construct that was broadly expounded. Progress was acknowledged as an imperial interest, and education in the arts was actively promoted in varied forms. This led to more efficient travel. The view of the islands and its people were consistently pictured by travelers and for travelers. Many Maltese artists traveled themselves, especially to the vast territories in the Far East. The people and their inhabitants in these exotic locations became favorite subjects of these wanderlust artists. Regardless of Malta's increasing international connections, in reality, it remained inward-looking, a staunchly Catholic Mediterranean British colony. This is very much reflected in its artistic production, especially in the works of the Nazarene and Purist schools. The Europe narrative concerns the 16th to the 18th centuries, when the Order of St. John governed Malta. The influx of European artists, such as Mattia Preti, introduced new styles that eventually defined Malta's European identity. Works of art by European artists arrived on the island through the broad networks of the cosmopolitan and aristocratic Hospitaller Knights. They would influence the development of art in Malta. One of the galleries is in fact dedicated to the role of the order and the capital city of Valletta. The influence of European tradition in the visual and decorative arts is expressed in the reconstruction of interiors of Maltese noble houses, adorned with paintings, Maltese furniture, silverware, and tableware. The legacy of the Baroque tradition is very strong in Malta, and the Europe narrative is a snapshot of what can be found in the major of churches, palaces, and old residences of the rest of the island. The Mediterranean narrative reveals the artistic ideas and cultural trends that reached the Maltese islands via the Mediterranean Sea, which connects them to Europe and North Africa. Therefore, this storyline represents the multiple connections which define Malta's Mediterranean identity. It has a strong religious imprint but inspires ritual. It connects in varied ways to the Mediterranean classical tradition of Greece and Rome and manifests itself in the beauty of objects used in everyday life. The Mediterranean narrative is very strongly focused on medieval and Renaissance artifacts, but also makes connections to items of later centuries, leading up to contemporary art. This serves to show how the influences that permeated Malta's artistic traditions survived throughout the years.
Have you ever been here? If so, did you like it? Are there any other museums that you would like to suggest visiting in Malta? Please let the community know, writing the names in the comments. If you enjoyed watching this video, please leave a like and share it with your friends. If you don't want to miss the new episodes shot around the world, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon, because doing like this you will receive a notification as soon as a new video will be uploaded. See you in the new travel documentary. Ciao!